So, hi there guys, I am Amlan from explainwithexamples.com, and in this tutorial of ours we'll be learning about why hypertext markup language is called like that, or what exactly is markup, or how are we marking our documents. So what are documents in the first place? So there are so many things to learn, so let us dive right in. Well, you can see that I have certain things marked up in this document. When I say document, what do I mean? The window, like you see, is right now open in front of me, is basically Google Chrome. It could have been Mozilla Firefox, it could have been Internet Explorer, it could have been Netscape, it could have been Safari, but finally this is a document which I have to mark up. Now when I say markup, what do I exactly mean? You see, if you are given a paintbrush and say like you had various colors and different stuff which you could have used to mark your canvas, how would you be marking it? Maybe making use of it, maybe giving it certain dimensions and bringing it to the left, right, do whatever you want. That's exactly what we do in the world of web also, because when you want someone to see your site, like when we look at Facebook, it doesn't look it doesn't look bad, it looks very attractive, and that's why you want to go and visit it. That's why every project owner or project developer would want to make the resources look very good. And what's the backbone? It's HTML, hypertext markup language. Basically the World Web Consortium, when they invented like the various frameworks and the standards, the guidelines of this language, they introduced equally the elements. Now what are elements? When you see here, when you see basically all this images out here, this text boxes, this text area, this buttons and all that, this is all the various elements which I have used to mark my document up. Now this entire thing, like what I say I use this, when I say I use this are nothing but elements. Everything inside hypertext markup language are elements. Now if you go to see like like this doc type HTML and everything, you will note everything is inside a opening tag, and then depending upon whether that element has content or not, we will look at that later on. It may have a closing tag as well. When I say a closing tag, what do I exactly mean? Well, you will see this is the closing tag, and some of the elements will have distinct closing tags. So if that element has content inside it, so like you can see that text area, inside it I have at leveler, you will see your imagination taking shape. And if you see in the document markup, there you go, the value is here. And like any element like this which has the property, which has the ability of taking content inside it, it will have a distinct closing tag. Okay, so the distinct closing tag is like this. You again write the identifier and then the element identifier, but you close it neatly. Well, that's not true for input. Like you can see input is just like normally closed, so it's because you can give content inside it. So we'll look at that later on, but this tutorial is more or less about understanding like what I write here, right on a document, that basically renders and is like compiled at the user end, that's at the client end. Like there are certain languages which get compiled on the server side, like PHP for example, it gets compiled by Apache on the server side. Say I have the site and I'm hosting it with GoDaddy.com. Now GoDaddy has its own computers and servers where I have put my resources on there, and my page may be having HTML, PHP, JavaScript and various other languages. So this markup, which is done using HTML, gets rendered on the browser. And how do I exactly know this? Go and view the page source, and when you view the page source, it exactly comes and lets you know the same thing. Like whatever you write here, image ID head hoc, there you go, image ID head hoc and all this stuff. So exactly the same thing what you write here, exactly the same thing what you see here. Okay, so if I actually I might be wanting to make this big, so if I can like now show you, it I guess makes more sense. So you can see like it's the same thing. So hopefully like you're starting to understand now how things move. So this is like the back end, but this is the front end, and the front end is like what we have as seeing. Now let's like again bring it back, and like let's see what were the markups we had. Now a very important thing to understand equally is that elements only inside the body actually make an impact on what you see on your canvas, or the document rather, is because HTML by itself is divided into big sections. One is the head, one is the body. Earlier it used to be the footer, but now with obviously divs and everything, you can give separate containers and sculpt your footer in that. But to very important to understand is, like when you have the header section, the elements inside it, everything is element. This meta, title, link, everything is elements. But these elements inside the head are more or less for explaining the browser, like what the page is all about. Like if I say title, I mean whatever you see in the title here, lesson 6, what is marking up a document. So here, like if I see, I'll just refresh this. So there you go, lesson 6, what is marking a document. So this is like the browser now knows the page is about what is marking up a document, or rather that's the page title actually. This link, then I have the relation attribute, href attribute. What are attributes, what are all various stuff, so looking into that. But as of now, just understand that we are linking a certain style sheet so that the text boxes and everything, they look more neater, cleaner. We can change the background appearances. It's like a fashion designer coming and giving you a changeover. That's what CSS does, that's what cascading style sheets do. So we are linking here a cascading style sheet, but again, you see, we are linking something, we are not making impact on the document as such. So this kind of elements, they are like non-markup elements, and the non-markup elements are always inside the head. The markup elements are always inside the body. So like when I say markup elements, you see now when I write image, I can actually see them making a markup. I mean, they're marking the document. I have the head of image out there, I have the Popeye image out there, I have the sculpt image out there. So these are the images. Then when I go down, I have an input type text for putting in the name. So there you go, input type text for putting in the name. Then again I have another input type password for putting in password. There you go. So like whenever I enter something here, it will become dot, and when I enter something here, there is alphabets. What this means is, like the password input type element doesn't actually allow the user to see what he types. Obviously there are ways around, but we can look at that later. Then we have a text area, and inside text area we have actually defined a value attribute. Oh no, we haven't. In fact, we haven't defined value attributes for any of this. A simple value attribute, if was defined, would actually make the, I will just show if possible. Defining value attributes is very easy. There you go. I've just defined input text attribute value, and I'll just save this document, and now the name thing should have Amlan written inside it. So there you go, the value attributes have neatly displayed on screen. Obviously you can go and always delete this and put your own, but just going to show how it actually happens. Then I have given an option for gender, making use of radio type input buttons, and if I go down, there you go, then again I have checkbox type input type elements indicating what the user actually is interested in: sports, movies, literature, babes, everything. And then like finally, very important, is like input type submit, because when I press the button submit all the content inside the form gets stored, and then depending upon like what I have decided, in fact here I have not done all that, but typically if all this is part of a form, then when you press the button submit, this all gets stored in the form, and then depending on what method you specify for the form, it gets conveyed to the form action script. So it may be the same page, it may be other pages. We will look at all that in a later point of time. But more important, now I hope you understand what I mean, or what developers mean, or when authors write, what they mean about markup language, or like marking up the document. Hypertext markup language is nothing but a collection of painting tools, or elements as you may call them. These elements are nothing but, you have seen them, few of them actually here: images, links, paras, inputs, checkboxes, radios, spans, other stuff. So knowing how to use this will actually give you options of marking up your document much better, and then maybe using stuff like fashion designers across the street, like cascading style sheets or JavaScript and stuff like that. You can then start playing with these elements, or rather markup on your document, so as to give the user a great feel while he surfs across your document. Hope that makes certain sense. Until next time, it's me, Amlan, signing off for the day. Thank you. And in case you're wondering what is this arrow, I just drilled one right in the morning. Ciao.